here in Middletown, Ohio, with my friend Jeff Jena, stand-up comedian extraordinaire. Not far. This is about where you started. Didn't you start in Cincinnati?
No, actually, I started in Houston, Texas. It was I started at the Comedy Workshop in Houston, which was Kennison and Bill Hicks and all those cats come out of the Comedy Workshop. Started there. Actually, the first time I ever went on stage was 1978. And I don't remember what month it was, but actually started working there. They had an improv group called the Comedy Workshop, and the guy who owned the Comedy Workshop was named Paul Menzel, and he started the workshop, and he opened. The workshop was in an old strip mall, and the auto parts store that was next door went out of business. And Paul told all the guys in the improv company, hey, write some stand-up. We're opening a stand-up club next door in a couple weeks. And that was what was called the Comics Annex, and it opened in 78. And that was, the original group was Bill Hicks, Bill Silva, Mike Vance, Fred Greenlee.
Fred Greenlee?
Yeah, who actually went on to write with Will and Grace and do a lot of great writing.
Yeah.
And did a suicide joke on Carson that got him banned from the Tonight Show. And but a great guy. And me. And then later out of the workshop, a lot of other people like Carl Falkenberry and Brett Butler. And some other great people came out of the workshop later on, though. But that's when I started.
And then you came here to you came to Cincinnati, and then I know you were out of Chicago for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I actually grew up around here, but started in Houston in 78. Then I moved to Detroit in 1980. Was still teaching school at the time. Went there for a teaching job. Started working with Mark Ridley out of the Comedy Castle in Detroit. And worked out in Detroit for a couple years. Quit my teaching job. Got a job in local TV there at WJBK, Channel 2 Detroit. And then moved to Chicago. Worked out of Chicago for a few years, and then I went to Los Angeles. So it was kind of a
now back here in Ohio.
And now back in Ohio. So so it's been a great trip.
What if you had to pick a highlight? Do you have a highlight, or is it just? Do you have any highlights or anything that you look as a milestone?
Actually, one night that I remember in particular, I was kicking around LA and doing okay out there, getting a few things, So I'm working at the Improv one night in Los Angeles, and a guy comes up after me and says, hey, I'm Carl Reiner's publicist. Carl Reiner does this big thing every year. It does a big charity thing at La Costa down in San Diego County. La Costa, incredible resort. There's a celebrity golf and tennis tournament. Would you like to perform at the main banquet? I go, great.
Oh, my.
Love to. I have to mention my wife was a golf pro. Could we come down and play golf? Well, yeah, would love you to. Give you a nice room down at La Costa for the weekend. Awesome. So my wife and I go down for the weekend, have a great time. We play a little golf, hobnob with, Lyle Wagner and some other, very cool people. So usually when you get invited to do one of those things, and you're kind of if Kathy Griffin's on the D list, I'm probably on the J list. When you're a lower echelon entertainer type, when you go, you kind of sit back in a corner somewhere, and then when it's time for you to perform, somebody comes in and goes, okay, come on up front now, come to the backstage area, you're going to go on next. So my wife and I get dressed up, we go down to the banquet that night, we come in, we give our tickets to the maitre d' at the big banquet room at La Costa, and he goes, oh, Mr. Jena, great to have you, right this way. So we're going up, we go to the table that's like right in front of the stage, front and center. And I'm going, there must be a mistake. I'm performing. And then he goes, oh, yes, you're right here. So we sit down, and about 5 minutes later, John Viner, famous impressionist, who had hosted A&E's Comedy on the Road, a TV show that I'd done a couple times, and so I knew John not well. I won't say we were friends, we were acquaintances. So he comes in with his girlfriend. I go, hey, John, Jeff Jena. We talk, chat. And he sits down at the table. I say, are you working? And he goes, oh, no, I'm just here. I'm a celebrity. I'm just here hanging out. This is where they have me sitting. So pretty soon, in comes Carl Reiner and his wife Estelle. They sit at our table. Sid Caesar sits at our table. Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft sitting at our table. And I'm going, this is awesome. This is great. Legend,
Right.
legend, me. And then my wife reminds me, she says, that must be very exciting for you as a comedian. You get to get up and perform for all these legends of comedy. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get up. And so I get up, I do my show. Fortunately, it goes really well. So I get off and I kind of quietly go, she goes, they loved it, they were all laughing. She goes, Sid Caesar didn't laugh at any of the guys in the show, hardly at all. He laughed at you and he would do this, and he thought you were real funny, he would do this.
Oh.
Rapping on the table. So that was kind of a big, that was like kind of one of the standout moments for me. Another thing is and I say this all the time, I say when I was in California, sometimes they would run out of real actors and I would get an acting job. And I got an acting job, a small part on a show called Hunter, which was a cop show from years ago. But the main guest star that week was one of my comedy heroes. I cannot believe that I'm going up. You hockey puck.
Rickles?
Don Rickles.
Oh my.
Is the main guest star. And it's like, I'm blown away.
Oh,
It's
sure.
like, I'm on a show with Don Rickles. In fact, I have 2 scenes with Don Rickles.
Oh.
So we're at this, in the show, he owns a dry cleaner, and he does his own commercials, and I'm the director of the commercials. So we're at this dry cleaner out in the valley somewhere, and it's a set, it's a Hollywood set, and there's a chair, and like my chair is right next to Rickles, so we're sitting there, and we chat, and we kind of, and I said, I said, I'm amazed that you still work Vegas, because I love Vegas, I work there all the time. So fast forward, we say, call me, great, and you think that's never going to happen. So a couple months in the future, I'm working at the Riviera, and I see Rickles is at the Nugget downtown, and I'm like in the back, and I'm talking to Steve Sharippa, who was famous from The Sopranos and everything, but at the time he was the maitre d' and the club manager at the Riviera Comedy Club. And I'm like in the back going, hey, should I call Don? He said I should call him. And Sharippa goes, what do you think? You're going to call the Nugget? He's going to pick up the freaking phone? Except he didn't say frickin'. And goes, he's going to pick up the phone. You call down there, you leave him a message. If he wants to talk to you, he calls you back. That's how it works. So I called down there. Hey, Mr. Rickles, I'm Jeff Jena. We did an episode of Hunter. Do you think that we could? Come into your show? So he calls back, says, bring the guys down, I'm doing a midnight show. So we went down and we saw Don Rickles' show, it was great. So.
How has, and I know this is an open-ended question, but obviously you're not doing the road a lot anymore, if at all, are you? I mean, how are you making a living in comedy?
I do. I work for cruise lines. I work for 2 different cruise lines. I work for Royal Caribbean, awesome. Princess Cruise Line, awesome. It's a very great way to make a living. As I say to people, somebody's got to do it. Why not me? And I also do mostly corporate work. I do a lot of sales dinners, awards dinners, appreciation dinners, and I do a lot of things like this. This is a private party we're at tonight at a Moose Club, and that's the kind of things I do. I don't do a lot of nightclub work. I mean, nightclub work is really a younger guy's game. It really is.
Jeff, thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks, Dad. Good to see you, Dave.